And welcome here to another edition of the HuskerOnline post-game live show. Sean Callahan, Steve Sipple, Robin Washut. We've got a lot to break down over the next hour. Nebraska, a 40-7 opening winner against UTEP, season opening win here. And when you look at this game, guys, a lot of positives to get to. But before we get to that post-game live show, we've got a beverage sponsor I want to plug here. Brought to you by Zipline, our good friends. We held the live show there, and we've all got a different Zipline. I've got the can opener Orange Splash.
Yeah.
Simple. You've got the Zip Light.
Yeah, matches my shirt.
Green Label IPA.
So
sorry.
Green Label IPA.
Sounds very Robin.
So if you want to feel like you're in the studio with us right now, go get a 6-pack of Zipline. Join us on the post-game live show. But let's get to it, guys, because you think about the last 5 years of Nebraska football. They've lost 4 straight season openers, all on the road, and they've all been high stress in a lot of respects that have almost set the season back a step where you just didn't have much comfort.
Right.
Today, you finally had a game where you could even overcome a mistake like a Dante Dowdell fumble, have a teaching moment, let the defense kind of get some adversity, find a way to win, and put it all together. You empty your bench, you get a lot of guys playing time late in the game. You take your starters out late third quarter. And guys, Dylan Raiola, it's hard to even call him a true freshman after watching that performance today. I think you'd be hard-pressed in the history of Nebraska football to find a freshman player that had a better debut than Dylan Raiola had here at Memorial Stadium on Saturday against UTEP.
Yeah. What a day. I mean, you're right, Sean. Those were high-stress losses in the past. I'm not going to dwell on them, but if you think about it, think about the way you came out of Champaign that day, that very hot day, and when Scott looked incompetent, when he went to the podium and said we weren't ready for their front. We prepared for something like, I don't know, what do you say? We prepared for a 4-3 and saw a 3-4 and we couldn't handle it. Stuff like that. You're just like,
the different movie line. I've seen the same movie before. Yeah.
And then Ireland, just where you remember who was the defensive end, Sean, from Scotts Bluff?
Garrett Nelson.
Yeah, just despondent. His
despondent.
Eyes. Yeah, just despondent. So, today was beautiful. I was walking through campus, and the cacophony of locusts sounded beautiful. I had to use that word.
Thank you.
Sean, you hired a poet. I'm a poet.
Okay? Well, and just how happy when you walk down. I mean, everybody is in a great mood. I mean, this is what September should be.
They saw a promise, Rob. They saw a promise. I want to ask Rob. I saw a promise mainly with Dylan, but not just Dylan. But boy, when you have a quarterback like that, everything looks better to you.
Changes everything.
What did you see from Dylan?
Well, the arm strength and just the physical attributes were a continuation of what we've seen in the small snippets we've gathered this offseason, from the spring game to the open practices to the public scrimmage that they held. So that part of it, it was good to see it carry over against live competition when he's actually getting hit and the bullets are flying for real. So that was one of the questions that I wanted to see how he was going to respond in that spotlight, and he did as well as I could have hoped and then some. But what really has jumped out is just the mental stuff, the poise that he had, the fact that he's not making one check. He's making multiple checks at the line of scrimmage. And I'm sure the helmet communication with Satterfield has something to do with that. But still, he's an 18-year-old freshman playing his first college game in front of 90,000 people, and he's making multiple adjustments at the line of scrimmage and not just setting up like good plays, but like 42-yard runs, checking into a run play on a third down. Those are the types of things that separate talented players from great players.
100.
The ones that can put the mental and the physical tools together.
So you guys watched a lot of quarterback play early in this season, like especially Big Ten guys. Like Wisconsin was on last night, Michigan State, Minnesota. You go down a line of other guys that have played a lot of college football.
Yeah, those guys aren't 5 stars.
They didn't. I mean, you see the difference of what Dylan Raiola can do and how easy he makes it. Just those crossbody, the sidearm throw on the run. I mean, those were just, changes the game when you can convert a third down.
3rd and 12, throws a 15-yard strike to Naor.
Well, they were in a 2nd and 30.
A 2nd and 30, that's right.
And they got out of a 2nd and 30. They were 11 of 17 on 3rd downs.
Okay, now here's the beauty, too, of the day. And we're going to keep doing this. All week, we're going to praise Dylan Raiola. Did you notice who didn't heap praise on him today? Matt Rule. Matt Rule makes he's not perfect. He's human. He doesn't every decision he makes isn't the correct one. But it's things like that that increase my confidence in Rule. He got to the podium and said there were good and bad things that Dylan did. He can do better in some things. He didn't just shower praise on him like we're doing. Like, you know what? Like everybody will do.
That's right.
But the head coach showed restraint. And I just thought, oh boy, that is perfect. That's perfect. He doesn't need to shower him. Don't keep him hungry. Keep him getting better. That's what Dylan wants anyway. Let us do it.
When
other people do
I thought the discipline to take him out when they did too.
Yeah.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I always felt like Frost would have went with that drive. Other coaches would have said,
Adrian Martinez would have stayed in the game.
Let him finish out the third. Let's get him over 300 yards passing, or let's kind of get it going. But it took discipline. So you know what? Let's get the other guys in, because that's going to build culture, a lot of culture. Robin, when you get all these guys in the game.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And so, like, that part of it, the fact that, we're all gushing, the national media is going to be gushing about him, the Patrick Mahomes comparisons, all that sort of stuff is just going to take off to a whole nother level after this. But the only thing that matters is that internally, it's one game. He did all right.
Yeah.
He wasn't perfect. He took some chances. He threw some balls in traffic that maybe against better competition, that gets picked off. And we're talking about a whole different start to the ball game. But he was able to work through them. And again, the way that he handled adversity was as impressive as anything to me. That 2-minute drive where, like, there's 8 seconds left on the clock. You need to know that you have a very limited window of when you can throw that ball and where you can throw that ball to not end the half without any points. He put it perfectly in Jamal Banks' hands.
How tall is that receiver he threw?
That's the other separator too, is, we're talking about previous quarterback play. None of those QBs had these dudes. They didn't have Jamal Banks. They didn't have Isaiah Nayor. They didn't have Carter Nelson.
64.7% on third down today.
It makes a difference. So, like, it's the whole picture for me, is the fact that they have their quarterback, and he looked excellent in his first debut, but the pieces around him
that's the key.
All looked as good as you could have hoped if you're Matt Rule.
Now, there's a lot of things going through my mind, but one was Nayor and Banks are seniors. They'll be out of here. You got to keep bringing in those type of guys. But with a quarterback like Raiola, you probably can. There'll be guys that watch what he's doing and say, I want to play for him. 6'4" guys that want to play for him. And it just, everything seems a little bit better. He's not going to be perfect. He's at the end of the day, he's a rookie, but Sean is right. He does not seem like it. Nothing he does says to you, oh God, he's just a young guy. He's not necessarily ready for this.
Very rarely does a guy come in with the hype and not only live up to it, but exceed it in the first game.
Right.
I mean, it's hard.
The spring game too. So when you couple the spring game and how good he looked, and we all kind of tried to show restraint. All right. Then the opener, he looks really good. And we got to do this kind of the same thing. We got to play the same game. Well, it's just UTEP. UTEP's not great. But he did what he was supposed to do. And Nebraska did what it was supposed to do. And that's what I wanted to see. Good football, and Nebraska do what it's supposed to do, which is win resoundingly, easily. They did it. And yes, number 15 looked the part for sure.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us here on Husker Online post-game live. We've got a number of super chats, but before I get to the first super chats, Husker Online post-game live is brought to you by CHI Health, St. Elizabeth, and Lincoln. As a data too, I know that accidents can happen and illnesses don't wait until 8 in the morning on Monday. When it's an emergency, you got to visit Pediatric Place at CHI Health St. Elizabeth, located south of 70th and O Street. It's Lincoln's only ER for kids. It's open 24/7 for pediatric emergency care. They offer child-friendly rooms and a private waiting room for both you and your family to put your kids at ease. Their expert care team specializes in pediatric and emergency medicine. To learn more about Lincoln's only ER for kids, visit chihealth.com/pediatric place. Thank you to CHI Health for sponsoring us here on Husker Online Postgame Live. Gentlemen, the super chats are flowing. I've got 6 in the queue. So let's get to a few, and I'll start with Dustin Brown with a comment. Great to have you guys back, and we appreciate all your coverage at Husker Online. I'm a bit concerned with the defensive backs. Bigs. No sacks.
D-line.
I think I'll comment on that. Okay. I think the way UTEP played, they got rid of the ball quickly. It wasn't a traditional team
Drop
that's
back.
going to allow you to sack their quarterback.
I agree 100%. Those guys made their presence known, particularly number 9. Ty Robinson.
He's a
Ty
beast.
Robinson, wow. He, like Rob said in the press box, he really came on strong at the end of last season. And then today it looked like he carried that over. 2 tackles is not it doesn't jump off the page, but the way he moves, 2 tackles for loss though. And just the impact he has on the game is clear.
And like the sacks are one thing, but like you said, the pressure was there
Uh-huh.
all day. I mean, look at the Hartzog interception. That was a direct result of getting a defender right in the face of the quarterback. And so being able to throw passes out of rhythm, the safety where they just they got right through the offensive line and destroyed the play in the backfield for a safety, a game-changing safety.
Yeah.
Those are like the pressure
Exactly.
was there. The presence in the backfield was there, even if they weren't getting to the quarterback to register sacks. They still made a difference in the game. And again, to Sean's point, I think the lack of sacks is probably more indicative of the way UTEP was playing and the timing in which they were getting rid of the football.
I felt that way, Sean. I don't have any. How could you?
They collapsed the pocket.
There's really no. I don't have any complaints about the defense, to be honest.
Scotty Walden knew that they couldn't just traditionally drop back.
Right.
It wasn't going to happen.
No.
Like everything they did was a quick game, quick throw, or throw it away.
Nebraska's got great size up front. I mean, particularly with Nash and Ty Robinson, Nash Hutmacher and Ty Robinson. And we have to point out that UTEP was really small up front. That's not a big. I mean, I guess especially their defensive front, UTEP's defensive front is small, but they were just outmanned in the trenches. But no, I thought they were in the backfield enough. They made their presence known. Now on the linebacker crew, Bayer played really well. Bullock played well. Yeah, both Bullock and Bayer played well. Good day for the defense. Just asserted themselves really well. The safety was huge. That was Ty and Bayer.
In the pick.
Yeah, and in the pick. Right, exactly.
That set up the rest of the half.
Yes.
All right, before we get to the next one, we got about 1,300 people watching us live. So thank you for all our live viewers joining us here. And get a Zipline. They're our official beverage sponsor of the HuskerOnline postgame live show. We are all enjoying our Ziplines here.
You know what we need, though, Sean? We need an assistant. When I need another beer, we need an assistant.
I sent Carter home.
Yep.
Yeah, we need an assistant.
We have the internship program for a reason.
I've already zipped through this zip line.
You got through the Zip Light.
Yeah.
So Robert and I made the pro move of we have a second beer near us.
I'm tied to this chair.
Now,
we need an assistant.
Our next super chat, Tyler Redwine, one of the great many viewers.
Tyler Redwine,
the official drone.
Oh yes,
and AI
master
song artist. He made I couldn't get it in, but he made a special song for our post game show for tonight's show. And it was outstanding, Tyler. But Tyler chimes in. How many margaritas is too many margaritas?
2 for me.
2. I've seen you have 2 before.
And what did I? And how was I?
Very happy, smiley,
jovial,
grinny.
2's a little much.
You had those. Was it blackberry in at the place in Texas? We went to?
Yeah, that got me when we were walking out. Sean made a comment like, "Ooh, simple."
Yeah, one of those where you stand up and you realize, oh, I may have pushed this a little too far, huh?
You're like a little tingly. Okay.
2.
Thank you, Tyler. You are one of the many great supporters of HuskerOnline, and we appreciate everything you do and your support of our site. Let's see, Montana Husker. Follow up to Dustin's questions on the sacks.
Okay.
Today was a subpar day for the O-line. On a subpar O-line, how many yards will Sanders and Hunter and Banks and those guys have when they can camp out in the pocket?
I don't know that he will be able. I don't think Sanders will be able to camp out in the pocket. What I saw from Colorado, and I watched every play of that game against North Dakota State, every single play. They're not great up front on offense again. North Dakota State got a lot of pressure.
North Dakota State didn't really blitz either.
No, they got pressure with 4 a lot, and Nebraska will get a lot of pressure, but they did last year. I mean, they sacked 7 sacks. They'll get pressure. Oh, yeah. No, listen, we don't got to go into an in-depth dive on Colorado, but I came out of this game a little – I feel very optimistic, but, man, the secondary is going to have its hands full.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, for instance, Jimmy Horn, if Travis Hunter's matched up on Tommy Hill, that's fine. Nebraska's probably okay on that. Jimmy Horn presents a whole different set of problems. Jimmy Horn's their fastest player.
Yeah, that might be the biggest X factor in
Jimmy
that
Horn?
game. Well, no, the ability of the defensive line to get steady, consistent pressure on Shador to where Nebraska can drop back, 7, maybe even 8 defenders into coverage to try to nullify that. Because we know Colorado's not going to run the ball. Like, they might try to, but they're not going to do it effectively. And they're going to have to do it on Shador Sanders' arm. And you know what Shador Sanders does that UTEP did not do? Hold on to the ball. He sits in the pocket and waits for routes to develop, waits for coverages to break down, and he stands there. He takes a lot of big hits, but usually that pays off for him if Nebraska can rough him up and make him think twice about staying there holding the ball. Suddenly, a big part of what makes those big plays so successful, you're nullifying that a little bit.
And Tony White, this will be his second crack at them. And in the first half, they had a really good plan on Colorado last year.
Here's the thing, though, Sean, you can reverse that too. It's Colorado's second crack at White. I mean, they'll know White better too. All these teams know
coaches.
Yeah, I was going to say
that's true.
Their entire staff didn't coach.
I mean, he's got they got a whole
Pat
new
Shermer's their
staff.
offensive. Yeah, Pat Shermer's their new offensive coordinator. It's a good point.
All right, taking on. Let's see to the next question. This is from Chase Woodward. What were you hoping to see today, but you didn't? FYI, you guys are crushing it. I decided to support the production by subscribing. Thank you very much. Joining Husker Online. I believe you can still get in, by the way, on the 50% offer. I believe they left it open here today still. Also, Robin seems to have a knack for providing valuable perspective. I like to say that Robin is the measured one of the group.
Yeah, he seems like a detective. Yeah, like a very veteran detective.
Keeps us in check.
The case. Yeah, yeah, we fly off.
Somebody's got to keep this train on track.
Yeah, especially. Yeah.
All right. So back to his original question. What were you hoping to see that you didn't?
Okay. Answer that, Sean.
I would have liked, I don't know.
Oh, I know. I got one.
I would have liked to seen Fedoni get going a little more.
Yeah. That's a good one.
And even the running backs. I mean, I would have liked to have seen one back really make it easy. And it felt like that was going to happen with Dowdell.
That's what I was going to say.
Yep.
I would have liked to see Dowdell not fumble.
And then finish the day.
Because it looked like he was the man. It looked like Dowdell had carried the momentum he generated late in camp into the opener. And Rob was sitting up there. Sean has his headphones in, so you don't talk quite as much as me and Rob. But Rob was saying, oh, God, that he looks like the man. Just keep him in. And he fumbled. And then he didn't get another carry. That would be the thing I'd say, Chase. The thing I was hoping to see and didn't was Dowdell continue to generate momentum because he looks real to me. He looks like an old school Nebraska back. The way how hard he runs. I mean, he ran with force, right?
Yeah, he did. And so that's the easy answer there. I guess another thing I would say is maybe a little bit more of the return game. Because with the number of return opportunities they had, I wanted to see like that just explosive, like spring game Ja'Cory Barney type return. And we got close to it. But, especially in the punt return, like Isaiah Castaneda, like, he was fine. But, like, do they have a more dynamic option there? Like, can they take that to the next level to where when you get that many returnable punts, which doesn't happen all that often, can you maximize those opportunities better than they did today? And it wasn't bad.
No,
it was fine.
No, it was a step forward.
I think it could have been better.
There were no penalties, though, which I liked. I think when you start getting cut backy on those punt returns, you see somebody push somebody in the back, and those are drive killers.
It was a step forward the way IGC returned the ball. He returned them.
He did.
I mean, he was aggressive.
Ground level to 2 steps up.
Right. Now, here's the thing. Rob and Sean, I think what we're dealing with is a balance in the discussion. They put a senior back there. I don't know. Is he a 6th-year senior?
Yes.
Like a guy in his mid-20s? And you've seen him. He's a grown man now. I mean, I don't know if you can tell if you're watching TV, but if you see him walk into a room, what did he say? What was his squat numbers? His bench numbers were incredible. He benched like 225, like 18
and he ran like 22 miles per hour on the GPS.
Yeah. So he's a grown man back there. What I'm talking about balance is if you're a coach, you want a guy back there who's reliable. We saw Ethan Nation go back there and some guy stripped him easily last year.
In the Iowa game.
Yeah, in the Iowa game.
I get that.
Now, Ja'Cory Barney, I'm kind of with Rob. I'd like to see it, but
he's
I know
so
how
dynamic.
But I know how coaches think. He's dynamic.
He's also a true freshman.
But if he's more apt to fumble, if he's more apt to make a bad decision, if you make a bad decision on punt or if you drop a punt, it's just a horrifying thing for a team.
Yep.
So I can see going a little bit safe with IGC.
It's a minor criticism because there wasn't a whole lot that I was left like desperately lacking to see.
Well, I think you're right. Now, I will say this. There was a couple of those returns. I thought that if there was a more dynamic return man, it would have went for a while. IGC's okay
That's
way.
Mostly my point.
Yeah.
All right. Brian comes in with a $49.99 super chat. Thank you,
Whoa.
Brian.
Whoa, wow.
But
Thank you, Brian.
loves the show. I kind of expected Banks to be the top option just because all the hype, the single digit jersey, but Naor was the guy today. Malachi never saw the field, and that's a great point.
Address this, Sean.
I did not see Malachi, but he was recovering from an injury, I know, in camp at one point, or he was dinged up a little bit for a few days.
He was healthy. I mean, Rule was asked about him before the game, and he said he's healthy. He's just kind of further down on the depth chart.
He wasn't in there late either. I didn't see him.
No, he wasn't.
Okay,
no.
that's a good point.
No, he wasn't in there late.
But back to Naor. This think about this must be how talented Texas is. Like a guy can go on national TV and on TV like a Fox today and dominate a game like Naor did, and he couldn't even play at Texas.
Well, you heard he was a little banged up. We've heard that.
And they kind of moved on from him. That's the reality.
They did.
He came into Texas to be the player we saw today.
Yep.
And he got hurt.
Uh-huh.
And then they never really gave him a second opportunity.
Now, he looks like the go-to guy. Now, there was a lot of hype with Banks, but I feel like even the way we talked about Naor and Banks shifted somewhere around midway through camp, where it was starting to become clear that Naor maybe was more of the guy. Now, you wanted to see first, but Naor is the faster of the two, and he's the bigger of the two. They're both listed at 6'4", 220. Banks is not as big as Naor. We've seen them both at the podium. Banks is a bigger guy. Or excuse me. Naor is a bigger guy, and he's a faster guy. So, and man, you saw Dylan. He was looking for 18 more than anybody.
Especially early.
Yeah.
Of his first 14 throws, 6 of them were to Isaiah Naor. So that shows you that when he was still kind of feeling things out and getting his feet under him and working his way into the rhythm of the game, his first look was to Naor. And it converted on he was the first 100-yard receiver since Trey Palmer against Iowa in 2022. So
that's quite a stat.
Yeah. So, I mean,
say that again.
Nebraska's first 100-yard receiving effort since Trey Palmer's 165 at Iowa.
So the first 100-yard receiver of the Matt Rule era.
Yes.
Wow.
Well, and I'll add a little insight on Naor. Like, people over there will tell you he's one of the overall 2 or 3 more physical freaks on the team as far as his athletic ability, the length of his arms, his jumping, his power, his strengths, his explosion. And you saw that play out. All right, before I get into more super chats, Husker Online headlines brought to you by Bauer Underground. We're thrilled to bring back our partnership with the great folks of Bauer Underground. Bauer Underground serves as a support for local contractors and utility companies within the state of Nebraska. Bauer Underground, Inc. gives 100% to assure quality control for their customers and has excellent management skills to supervise each and every job they contract for. The company and its employees are accustomed to deadline pressure on construction jobs and take tremendous pride in meeting the deadline requirements when maintaining excellent workmanship on each job. Strategy is at the heart of what they do. For more than 25 years, their reputation has been built on principles which include quality workmanship, on-time job completion, hiring and retaining high-quality personnel, utilizing the latest earth-moving techniques, maintaining safety for their customers and employees. We have a lot more coming from Bauer throughout this season, and we're excited to talk about them moving forward and grateful for their support of Husker Online. You can check them out at BauerUnderground.com to read more about what they do, who they've worked with, and more. Bauer Underground. They have offices in Lincoln, Omaha, Kearney, and Norfolk. Thank you to Bauer Underground for sponsoring us here on Husker Online Postgame Live. And also thank you to Zipline, the official Postgame Live beverage sponsor. Check out Zipline, get a 6-pack, join Sip, Robin, and I as we enjoy our postgame Zipline here.
Tasted good tonight.
All right. I got a question here from
Tasted.
International Matt 1. What do you think of the O-line? Is it improved? I think Sip needs to go back to wearing his bowling shirts that he buys at Super Saver.
I got an On 3 shirt.
I dressed you pretty well this season, by the way, Sip. We got you some shirts.
Yeah, I don't
Super
like to hear you
safe.
put it that way exactly, but yeah, there's some nice shirts.
You get a lot of
Bob.
compliments, I think, these days.
I do get a lot of compliments, just generally on the way I look. Okay, so what did I think of the O-line? Good today. It was, I mean, I thought in the run game it was good. Now again, it's sort of hard to evaluate an O-line on the fly. I will tell you, when back in the day when the Milt Teneper, I've said this before, but I'll say it again. When Milt was the offensive line coach, I would scurry down there after a game to talk to Milt about the O-line, and it took me a while to learn my lesson, but he'd say the same thing all the time. Sip, I gotta see the film. I mean, I don't know on the fly. I just don't have much to say about it. It's kind of like us. We're just giving impressions.
Mm-hmm.
And my impression was Nebraska, what did they get? 500 plus yards of total offense. They ran the ball for 220 plus. Looked good running the ball. Protection was pretty good, I thought. There was a couple breakdowns. Westmoreland, as we expected, got back there a few times. He's really talented. But by and large, I'd say it was a very good day for the offensive line.
We mentioned Westmoreland. I mean, going into this, what was the one X factor on UTEP's side that we thought could give Nebraska problems? It was him versus Nebraska's tackles. And he had a couple flashes here and there.
Yeah.
But UTEP had one sack. And Matt Rule after the game said that was Dylan's fault because he held the ball too long. So that means that of the two quarterback pressures, at least one of them that UTEP had was on the quarterback. So, and the way they ran the ball, I thought they got push up front.
Downhill.
Yeah, they ran downhill. I mean, the picture looked good. It looked how it should have looked against a team like UTEP. So, I'm not going to go overboard and praise, but the fact that they weren't a massive liability, especially in that matchup, which could have been a real problem for them, I think it says a lot to
the matchup with Westmoreland.
Yeah. Or just the way that UTEP blitzes too. They're a creative blitz heavy team.
Yep.
And 2 pressures, 1 sack. And that 1 sack was on the QB.
Well, and we saw a lot of the body blows, as Marcus Satterfield likes to call it. I mean, I thought for Nebraska, the way they came at UTEP, I mean, it was body blow. When you just look at the first down, I'm going down to the first down plays. Nebraska had 38 first down plays. Their average gain on first down was 4.6 yards.
Okay, that's good.
Their average rushing gain on first down, they had 21 first down runs that went for 4.4 yards.
Okay, that's good.
So they were looking at 2nd and 4 or 2nd and 5, 2nd and 6 a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
On schedule.
Yep.
There was only the one run over 20 yards of the 42-yard run.
Only one penalty too on the starting group, right?
Oh, that's a big. That's an
a false start on Benhart.
Yeah. So they had the kind of a little flurry of penalties early in the first quarter.
Drive.
Yeah, 200 on that drive. Then they weren't penalized again till the fourth quarter. Mm-hmm. So they cleaned things up. Rule keeps emphasizing to this team. He'll say things like, "We have to stay focused." The reason we've lost close games is because we haven't been focused all the time. Mm-hmm. So he's driving those points home to these guys, and it all makes a lot of sense. Yeah, you saw Nebraska improve today. I mean, they look like an improved program. They look like an improved program in the way they play the game, and then they look like an improved program when they're walking off the field. Mm-hmm. You see a different look now. They're and I'm talking about body type. Better looking team now. It's getting to where you know, it's not Ohio State, it's not Michigan, it's not Penn State yet. It's not in terms of body type, but you see it moving in that direction, and that's good to see.
No doubt.
About 1,700 people watching us live right now. So thank you to all of our live viewers. Let's go to John Paulus's super chat. I was concerned with 4 starting running backs, and if one fumbled, does that drop them in the depth chart?
Wow.
Love the show. Great job, guys. Look,
wow.
I think Dante Dowdell showed enough that they're okay with, like, Anthony Grant. Matt Rule tipped his hand in training camp last year. There were fumble issues. And what did he do in a 10-3 game when they're trying to ice it in Minneapolis? He fumbled. And then it led to a touchdown.
Grant did, yeah.
And then it led to another turnover, which led to a field goal that won the game. And Nebraska unraveled. They were up 10-3, about to ice the game, and they lost 13-10
to Minnesota. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we got to dive into this. We established earlier in the show that of those 4 running backs, the top 4, Dowdell, Ramir Johnson, Emmett Johnson, and Gabe Ervin, Dowdell looked the best. And then he fumbled deep in UTEP territory. And then that was it. And he didn't carry the ball again. I think you saw him briefly come in. Rule kept his word on that. If you fumble, you're not going to play.
He had to.
But now the question is, now what?
Yeah.
Because we agreed in the press box, Dowdell looked the best. He ran. I just thought he just looked like the best running back. He ran with the most power. He looked a little quicker to me now. God, they asked him to. They told him when he came in here in the spring, you can't just overpower people. You can't do that in this league. You got to be more than that. And he showed more than that. I guess what I'm saying is, and what I probably should write this week, is I hope they give him the ball again to start next week's game. I'd say start him.
Start him over Ramir.
Yeah, I would say start him. Although, is that sending the wrong message? Just send the wrong
I think
message.
you got to see how the week of practice goes.
Yeah,
Right.
good point, Sean.
Tuesday, Wednesday, or whatever their main days are of the week. And that will go a long way. Jeremy Brandt in the super chat. My only issue I have with Dylan is he got away with a couple of throws into coverage.
He did.
In the Big Ten, those are trouble.
Yep.
Thanks for all you guys do. I love Husker Online.
He did throw a couple. He did.
That's every quarterback everywhere. Though.
100. I mean, yeah, not maybe even Brady. Yeah, you'll see guys on Sundays. Robin watches the most NFL of us.
I'm a Giants fan. I see it every Sunday.
You see guys whipping the ball in the coverage all the time. You do. You see it all the time.
Our friend John Bishop had a comment to me. We were joking, like, yeah, post-game shows and talk radio are going to be a lot different now. Instead of like really being upset or mad about things, we can go back to nitpicking little things like this.
That's right.
Yeah, little things.
You know, back in the day when Nebraska was where they were, there wasn't all they didn't
You were
lose.
trying to find
The thing about Dylan is he has such a strong arm, and he is a very confident individual. He is going to take some chances. He did take a few chances today, so you'll probably continue to see that. I think Rule, Satterfield, Glenn Thomas, I think they'll generally be okay with it as long as he's not doing anything too fancy, throwing a lot of the sidearm stuff, going underhand. Just stay on platform, keep it real, and make good decisions.
I think a lot of those forced throws were almost a byproduct of him being too conservative. Like he was turning down deep shots downfield to go to the underneath route, despite there being multiple defenders around the third or fourth option that he was checking down to. So I think as he grows as a quarterback and kind of gets, more and more familiar with just the level of college football he's playing right now, you'll start to see less of that and more of the chances being taking deep shots downfield and let guys go make plays. And when else he took a chance today? When he threw that ball with 8 seconds left
in the first half
to Jamal Banks at the end of the half, got a touchdown. So that's the give and take you get. When you got a quarterback that has that much confidence in his ability, he's going to take chances. Sometimes it's going to be a little risky, and sometimes it's going to change the game.
What a throw. What a throw to Banks.
It's a perfect throw.
What a throw to Banks.
With the clock running down.
And the best part about it is if it's dropped, you still have time on the clock to take a field goal. It was perfectly executed.
I mean, tell me a better time than 2 minutes. I mean, Nebraska hasn't really done that in a long time.
Did they execute a 2-minute drill last season?
And it timed out perfect that they got the ball back, like right at they got to run one play before the 2-minute warning timeout. And then it's like, all right, here we go. You got 2 minutes.
Yeah, he handles himself really well. He thinks the position at a super high level. And the other thing that we should mention about him is, remember, I watched for this today because during the spring game, remember what he said before the spring game, that he blacked out as he was going out because there's so much emotion. I wondered how he'd be on the first series. He was like Sean kind of said early, he just didn't look like a freshman at all. Yeah, you almost have to remind yourself that he's a freshman because he doesn't act like one. And he looked very calm on the opening series. Mm-hmm. That's a good sign. That's a really good sign considering what's coming, a night game against Colorado.
All right. Spark Adventures comes in. If we can cover Travis Hunter for a good amount of next week's game, we take away half their offense.
I mean, Jimmy Horn, you can't forget about Jimmy Horn. Everybody does that. Jimmy Horn's the fastest player on their offense.
He's the other half.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, they have a guy named LeJonte Wester. That's a transfer.
He got good skill.
Yeah.
That's never been their issue. It's been the lines.
No, I'll say good receivers on the perimeter. They really don't have a running. I mean, Dallin Hayden came from Ohio State and didn't win the job. They go with this little guy named Offerdahl, who's a walk-on, little guy. Just a kind of an ordinary back. But no, they have 4 really good receivers.
Yeah, that dude isn't going to run against Nebraska.
I don't think so.
I mean, it's just going to be like last year, where if Nebraska can not make mistakes on offense and set Colorado up with easy opportunities, and then limit the big chunk plays, which are going to happen.
They're going to happen.
But you got to limit them.
Yeah.
I mean, with what we saw today, if that offense looks anything like it did today, I think they'll be just fine.
Yeah. I mean, Colorado's got to deal with Nebraska's skill now. See, that's the thing where it kind of flips. Yeah. Colorado has some
Travis
good.
Hunter's going to be covering NFL level wide receivers.
Right. Nebraska now, you look at Nebraska and go, wait a second. They didn't even really get Barney that involved today. Ja'Cory Barney can hurt you.
That little flip play to Barney.
Yeah.
The one that got negated. I mean, that play showed what he can be in this offense.
They didn't get Lloyd involved, and Lloyd can play.
And we got a real nice appetizer of Carter Nelson. Sipple.
My tweet, I said, you guys should have seen Sipple's face when Carter Nelson
stood
had
up.
that catch and run. Somebody did a gif of like the Lego movie where the guy like sees it goes.
Well, okay, just
It
all
was a
joking
lot
aside.
like that.
All joking aside, what did that picture look like to you?
Fantastic.
I mean, that wasn't just a 6-piece order of wings. That was like a 10 or 12-piece order of wings. I mean, you got a nice taste of him.
Woo! That is a dude. I mean, and he's probably what option is he? Your 5th or 6th or 7th? I mean, if you got Carter Nelson as your 6th option, you got some stuff to throw to.
All right. I want to bring in this special super chat from Ethan Clark from Zipline, our friend from Zipline. So Ethan and his wife just had a child. They had a son yesterday or today. Thank you guys for, and I hope you're enjoying all the beers. Tell Sip he might like the dear old Nebraska brew too.
Okay.
We've got a few of those.
Hey, we got a couple right here, Ethan.
Yeah,
right
if we
here.
had an
That's
assistant,
the next one.
If we had an assistant up
Also,
here, I'd have one in my hand.
If you could give a shout out to my newborn son and the Zipline team's newest addition, James Clark, I'd love it. Go Big Red. There you go. Dear old Nebraska brew. And there's Ethan Clark from Zipline chiming in. Congratulations, Ethan.
Shout out James.
On James.
James Clark. That's a strong name. Strong name.
James Clark is 1-0, baby.
Yeah.
Hey.
He's a 1-0 baby.
He's 1-0. Undefeated. Yep. He's waking up to Husker wins now. So congratulations. Thank you, Ethan, as well, and Zipline for being our official beverage sponsor. Robin and I are about to go into the dear old Nebraska brew here in just a second.
Let me see that can. Oh, that's
good looking can.
Good looking can. And they sell those at Costco, by the way. You can get a case of those at Costco for $24.
Pretty good.
Pretty good price.
It's like stealing.
All right. Before I get into more super chats, we're also brought to you by Omaha Steaks. It is the anniversary sale right now at omahasteaks.com. So you want to get on there, take advantage of this. They're already doing 50% off site wide. We are going to give you another $30 off at omahasteaks.com with the promo code HuskerOnline. That's Huskers with an S online for another $30 off the already discounted boxes of steaks and meats. That's steaks, that's chicken, that's hot dogs, that's brats, that's burgers. You got time to get that order in, get the delivery to your house. You got 3 more home games in a row. You need meat. You got to stock up on meat at Omaha Steaks and use that promo code HuskersOnline at omahasteaks.com to get the $30 off. Thank you to Omaha Steaks for sponsoring us here on the Husker Online show. Okay, let me delve back into where we were at here on the super chats. Let's see. Caleb. Let's see. Hey, guys. Thank you for, I know you guys talked about punt returns on your show earlier this week. Did you all think IGC in the punt return team? What did you think of IGC in the punt return team today, guys?
It's a step forward. Nebraska last year had, I'm just going to go off the top of my head here, Schick and Nick, 16 punt returns. 16 punt returns last year for 48 yards. So Rob, you're the statistician. How many punt return yards did they have today? They had 48 all of last season.
Hold on.
48 all of last season. It's okay. This is fine. It's live TV.
They had all purpose. They had
punt return yards.
I can't even see it. All right. They had 25.
25. They're halfway home to what they were last year.
That's an amazing stat, by the way.
Right. 16 returns last year. I mean, I'm 100% on this. 16 returns, 48 yards last year.
And they had 3 for
25 today. I'm going to tell you something right now, guys. I'd say if I had to say the top 5 things I saw today, I'd say that's in the top 5. The fact that they were aggressive in returning punts. They were aggressive. He showed some aggression.
And kick coverage. They forced them to return kicks.
Oh yeah, rules teams will always be good. They fly down there. That I think rules teams at Nebraska, and I bet if you looked at Temple and Baylor, they were good kickoff coverage teams. I think from what I've read, now rule might take me on this. I think that's a rule staple. But they cover well. Oh, they cover kicks really well.
Mm-hmm.
They got some dudes on that side of the ball.
All right.
They have some dudes. I want to shout out Bayer. Bayer really played well today. I mean, I thought there'd be a drop off from Javen Wright. Oh boy,
Bayer's physical.
Woo. And Bullock was good. Those guys were good today.
Mm-hmm.
Messifant had 2 super chats, but his first one was $20. His second one for $10, and a question and a comment. Based on Nebraska's physicality in the run game, what I saw in the Colorado game, Colorado is in big trouble. Shout out to you guys from San Francisco.
Wow, all the way from San Francisco.
Hey, we appreciate you joining us. And by the way, right
God
now
bless you.
we are up to about 1,800 live viewers.
That's
Few people like to watch.
especially when they win.
Mm-hmm.
A win feels good, guys.
The Zipline tastes better.
I know.
Everything, like those locusts, sound good. Everything sounds better. Sean looks better.
I saw the
Everything.
people on the rickshaws outside riding around. They were yelling and hooting and hollering. And
What's a rickshaw?
The little bike, the pedal bike thing.
A
Bike
rickshaw.
cab.
I mean,
Rickshaw.
a guy that grew up in the high honors program of Columbus didn't know what a rickshaw was.
High honors program. Thank you for saying that. It's true.
Highly gifted.
Gifted program.
Highly gifted.
Gifted program, Rob.
To Messifant's point, though.
Yeah, Messifant, yes.
I agree. I mean, I thought that the offensive line, they made a bit of a statement today. Again, it's what I thought they were supposed to do against a physically overmatched UTEP defensive line. But I didn't see anything from Colorado that makes me think that they can't do relatively the same next week.
Colorado will be physically overmatched. I thought Colorado's interior players were okay. I mean, they were okay. Colorado's interior defenders, just okay.
Mm-hmm.
Their edge guys are supposed to be really good.
Shadur gets hit.
No, I'm talking about their
Yeah, on the
defense.
other side too.
Yeah. But Shadur gets hit. But I'm talking about Colorado's defense.
do you
Nebraska
combat that, though?
should move the ball.
You run upfield. Like when they're going to try to
Yeah.
come downhill like they do
Yeah.
on the edge,
Right.
what do? You run upfield.
Yeah. 100.
And run right by them.
Yeah, and those 3 guys, we talked about it all through August. At least I talked about it. When you're talking about Sean loves Mazuka, when you're talking about Mazuka,
Mhm.
guard, Ben Scott, center, Jenkins, guard, tough dudes. I mean, I don't worry about those. Oh, they're
New
maulers.
Jersey and Philadelphia guards.
Yeah, exactly. You saw Mazuka. You laid eyes on Mazuka. That's a big man. I mean, that's everything about him's big. I mean, I'm not too worried about him right now. And I thought Corcoran, he played determined. I thought you saw a little extra from Corcoran. It's almost to me like Corcoran hears what people say.
I'm sure he does.
Yeah. And I hope he kind of does. And I hope he says, you know what? I'm a grown man now. I can handle that criticism. I can handle those skeptics. I'm going to show them. And I thought today he did.
And those tackles went up against the strength of UTEP's entire team.
Mhm.
And I thought they held their own.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to Tyler Redwine here in the super chat. Tyler comes back again. Anyone from the Husker Online team managed to sneak into the TO Legacy Complex dedication last night? Got any inside intel on the reception amongst the donors who paid $160 million to make it happen?
I wish we did.
I mean, this feels like it was decades ago when they broke ground on that thing.
Yeah, it was. When did they have
2019 in September is when Wandale Robinson and Bill Moose and Scott Frost and Ted Carter and Ronnie Green were on that stage.
On that stage right outside where it was going to be built, right outside of Memorial Stadium on the east side. Yeah, that does seem like a long time ago. It was a long time ago. But yeah, I mean, that thing is, it'll be helpful to the whole enterprise. I don't know if it's as helpful as being able to pay players, but it's right there.
I mean, it's the amenities and the things they have in the training table. It's all unbelievable.
Nebraska right now does. I mean, you hear it nationally. You hear national commentators talk about it. For instance, I heard I think it was Roddy Jones, who was calling the Colorado game. I think it was Roddy that said, it was one of those guys who said, and everybody thinks Nebraska's coming. Everybody in the nation feels like Nebraska's coming. It does. And then when you see today, it felt like that. I mean,
Yeah, it didn't look like that with Wisconsin, and they played a similar opponent.
right.
Minnesota played a better team, but you watch other teams that have
Mhm.
beaten Nebraska, they don't have a number 15.
They don't have the 15.
They don't have those receivers.
Right.
Like compare Iowa's win today. It was the
Right.
same score, right?
Yeah.
Against a low-level team, but just the way that they won that game, they're not feeling the way Nebraska feels about a game with the same score.
Well, they don't. Yeah, safe to say they don't have Dylan Raiola.
Mm-mm.
But Sean, you're right. It's not just Raiola. It's a lot of skill position players. Give Rule and that stuff a lot of credit for giving Dylan what he needs. It's there now,
Mhm.
and that's why I keep going. I know I'm a little bit overly fascinated with the Dowdell situation because we heard today that he was starting. We heard today he was making a big move, and then what we saw. See, I like to add Dowdell to that conversation because he could be really valuable if he's as good as what we saw.
He came in the third play.
Yeah, and he can hold on to the ball. He's a big part of this.
7 yards of carry is no joke. I don't
Yeah.
care who you're playing.
Those guys they have are tough guys. They're good players. All those guys, Ramir, Emmett, and Gabe, they're good players. I thought that Dowdell was a cut above them today.
Think about the transfers they brought in. You got Raiola as a high school quarterback recruit, but Dowdell, Nayor,
Yeah.
Banks,
Uh-huh.
Mazuka.
Yeah.
I mean, they
Oh,
hit it
yeah.
out of the park. And then
Oh,
think
yeah.
about the freshmen that
Good
played early. Ja'Cory Barney,
Carter Nelson.
Carter Nelson,
Yeah.
Amari Sanders,
Oh, yeah.
Keona Davis,
Oh, yeah. Good point.
Vincent Shavers.
Yep.
I mean, they have upgraded some parts on this roster year over year as much as I've seen a Nebraska team upgrade.
And then you saw David Huffkin walking off. Wow. I mean, they have put together
Well,
a
and then
good-looking
even
group.
They're like, hey, let's take Jalen Graham. He plays. I mean, Jalen Gramstad comes in his first game at Nebraska after being here a little over a month, and he gets in the game.
The quarterback room is in great shape. And one of the things today that made a big impression on me is I'm not going to say who it is that told me, but he's a guy who knows what's going on here. And he said that Heinrich is way better as a quarterback. I mean, that he's made a huge jump. This is a guy who sees practice. And he said he's made a gigantic jump. That quarterback room is good.
What did he say
'Cause
about Gramstad?
He said you can win with Gramstad. He
Hmm.
said what he said about Gramstad was he probably should have went somewhere where he could play because he can play, but he's behind. He went somewhere where he's
Well,
behind
Dylan
good
said
players.
He followed, like the two of them had a moment together because they both had their dream. Both wanted to play for Nebraska, and they both kind of lived that dream out together today.
Gramstad did look good. We watched him late in the game. He's a good. You can tell he's seasoned because he makes quick decisions, and he's got a strong arm.
Mhm.
Runs the offense really well. Yeah,
He
it-
knows the offense. He was
Great
signaling
room.
plays from the sideline.
Yeah,
A guy that
exactly.
just got here.
Oh, good point. Yeah,
Signaling plays.
Well, and I like that Rule, understood and respected what this kid gave up to come here.
Yep.
Player of the year, national championship level player, walked away from it all to come here, and he may never get another opportunity to get in.
and he got in the game.
and he got
played a
in
lot.
his first game. So,
Culture.
that's a moment
Culture.
that his family will cherish forever. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
he'll probably get in again this year, but
Mhm.
you never know.
You never know. And that, I just go back to what I said. I wrote this the other day. I love that room, that quarterback room. I don't know how often you're going to have a room this good. You have four guys. Rule says it, and sometimes you think, when coaches say things like we could win with all four, you kind of roll your eyes like, yeah, right. But man, it kind of looks like that. We saw three of them today, and it looks like you can win with all three of those guys.
All right, Alexander comes into the super chat. Thank you so much for all the offseason coverage. I'm so excited for the season. As good as I think Fedoni can be, I'd love to see him schemed more over the middle versus on the outside. Thoughts?
Go ahead.
I'd like to see him just downfield more. Like everything that
Down
he
the
did
seam.
was more kind of a sideways throw today. There wasn't a lot of just, fall forward throws.
Mhm.
I'll tell you, I just got to phrase this carefully. Well, I'm not going to phrase it carefully. I'm just going to say it the way I think it. There's a danger in getting lost in this group of skill players. Nayor is really good. Banks is good, proven guy. Barney's electric. They're trying to get the ball to the running backs, right? They haven't decided exactly how they're going to do it. Like I said, you have Carter Nelson, who looked dynamic to me. I mean,
By the way, Mac Markwell was in the stadium today.
Mac Markwell's coming. I mean, it's a good thing. It's a good thing for Thomas Fedoni. You don't want to get lost, but you can a little bit.
But to the schematic point, I agree. I don't think he needs to be an east-west guy. Like, I don't know if that's his strength right now.
Get him over the middle.
I want to see him go down the stream. I want to see him be that big body that's making tough catches over the middle.
He can do that.
He can do that. He's as big and athletic of a guy that size as you're going to find. But when it comes to getting out to the perimeter and then turning the corner, you saw what that did. I mean, he caught 3 passes for like 1 yard.
Where you see
that's not going to work.
Where you see those throws over the middle a lot is when a defense is blitzing a lot.
Mm-hmm.
When they're sending guys, you throw those balls over the middle and they're there. And you might see that more and more.
All right, Jacob comes in, and we kind of hit on this already, but how high did Sip jump out of his seat when Carter Nelson caught the ball and made a guy miss?
I mean, he's a little breathtaking.
There was some heavy breathing.
The big
Oh, there was no heavy breathing.
The big horse got let out of the stall today.
Yeah, you can see it. You see the talent. And you know what, Sean? You talk to people in the program. They know. They're sitting on something. And it's not something that's, I mean, they know what they got there.
It still freaked me out watching him on Chasing 3 at Urban Air Trampoline Park. doing like the joust battles on the balance beam.
Right.
Like, I mean, you're not supposed to keep your balance in that deal. And,
No.
and he didn't go down.
He's not a typical athlete.
Like, he was just toying with guys on a balance beam.
He's elite. I mean, Satterfield has said it. Satterfield said, well, he's an elite athlete. Of course we're going to use him. He's elite. I mean, that's what he is. He's gonna have a hell of a career here. And we saw it today.
Will he grow into a tight end, or are they going to continue to keep him as a hybrid?
Oh, that's a tough question.
How about both?
Yeah.
Check.
Don't overthink it. Just get the ball to him.
Okay, Alex comes in with the super chat. What impact does getting deep bench player snaps have on open transferring? It is a benefit to get guys. Is it a benefit to get guys reps, or does it help players get taped to audition elsewhere?
Great question.
Been a while since we've had to do that. I think you make some great points on both sides. I still think you want to play guys and develop guys. One of the reasons why Nebraska has fallen as a program is they've not been able to develop a lot of players. When you play a lot of high stress games and you can only play your starters for 4 quarters and you don't make bowl games, think how less practice reps, game reps you're getting for some of those players.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
And Nebraska has done today was great. I mean, that was as relaxing of a second half as I can remember in a long time.
Yeah, you know how to keep guys happy and engaged, play them in games. Nebraska finally did that. And again, a lot of it's just the luxury of being up that big in the second half, where you can actually have the opportunity to go in your depth, and you're trying to just win the game. You've got that kind of put to bed, and then you can start getting guys those reps, and those are invaluable. Like you'd ask any player or coach, just the experience you get from being on that field, even if it's a blowout game one way or the other, those reps are so invaluable to a player's growth, just with the confidence and the been there, done that part of football. When you can get the third, fourth, fifth guy on your depth chart, those types of snaps, that's going to make it's going to elevate everything from the top to the bottom.
David Jorgensen chimes in, similar comment to this discussion. It felt like the 80s, Sip.
It did. It was a feel-good
Not
day.
a national championship team by any means, but a doggone good team, and they let every one of the jersey play.
Yeah, it was. I guess I'd go back to a big picture comment. What were you looking for today? And you saw a lot of what you wanted because
execution.
You saw good football.
Yep.
Yeah, you saw good football. That's what you wanted. Okay, I wanted to see good football and a convincing win. I saw good football and a convincing win. Good football.
Limited penalties.
Yeah.
Limited turnovers.
Yeah. Tough running by the running backs. Tough
11 of 17 on third downs.
Yep.
A flawless 2-minute situation that changed the game.
We've almost taken this for granted, this part, but they tackled well. They flew to the ball. There's a few times, Rob, when we were sitting up there and like, man, they got 5 guys to the ball. 5 guys to the ball. I mean, look at that.
They had good receivers too.
Yeah, a little flare out to the receiver. Oh God, there's 5 guys there. I mean, they get to the ball. Yeah, I don't want to take the defense for granted. I don't want to get to that point. They did their thing today. Held them to 7 points. Held them to 200 yards. That's playing at a high level.
All right, we're wrapping up here with the final super chats. But again, we're sponsored by Zipline, our official post-game beverage of the HuskerOnline post-game live. I am into now the dear old Nebraska brew. Are you into it yet, Rob? You're working on it.
I am now.
All right. Well, let's go to Alex Eli. Will we see double teams on Travis Hunter to take him away? The old Bill Belichick game plan, make them beat us with anyone besides him. More blitzes, disguises, go big red.
Okay, if there's anything I want to impart to people right now, that it's not just Travis Hunter. Jimmy Horn had more catch. He had 9 catches the other day and more yards than Travis Hunter.
I'm guessing North Dakota State tried to take Travis Hunter away.
Right. No, it's not just Travis Hunter. Jimmy Horn is the fastest receiver they have. He is blazing fast. He's a problem. So no, this is not Shedeur and Travis Hunter. This is Shedeur, Travis Hunter, and Jimmy Horn.
Yeah, and if Tommy Hill is as good as you think he is, if he's a potential first-round draft pick, like some ESPN analysts are saying, let him go see what he can do.
Yep.
You don't need to devote your entire secondary to stopping one guy, because they have other players that will burn you if they do. And so I think that you have to find a balance to where obviously you give proper attention to the guys that you need to do, but you can't overcommit to just one player.
I don't think you can.
If you send everybody on Travis Hunter, Colorado has more than enough players that will absolutely cook you.
LaJohntay Wester is another name, and then they have a kid named Webb from Vandy that's really good. I don't think you can put 2 on Hunter. Not with Jimmy Horn. Can't do it.
Caden comes in. Were there any notable recruits at the game today? I will say one. Christian Jones was there, Omaha West Side linebacker, and still undecided. Oklahoma, Miami, some others maybe in the picture, but Christian Jones was at the game today.
Brian Munson has a whole visitor list,
and that's actually Jackson Carpenter from the visitor preview at the game today. But Christian Jones from Omaha West Side, probably the biggest headliner. You had a number of recruits, a few targets there, and I think next week the Colorado game.
What's that list going to look like, Sean?
It's be pretty deep, but again, recruiting is different now. And I was talking to some guys about it. Like, you want guys to come in for the games, but the recruiting cycle for the most part kind of goes from June to July now,
right?
Or so January to July. Like those 6-7 months, that's when most of the hay in the barn gets done, and then you're trying to get some juniors here, like guys from the next year.
Yeah.
So that's really the hope. How many underclassmen priority targets can they get in town? It's going to be a big weekend for the Colorado game, and there's Christian Jones making a trip, so we'll see where that all goes. Scott's Tots, great screen name from The Office, Robin.
Of course.
If Nebraska beats Colorado, their stock value will be off the charts. I will definitely be making will make an impact in recruiting. I'm going to the game from Texas.
Good.
Go Big Red.
Come in here.
Spend some money. Go to Zipline.
Go to Zipline and enjoy it, because it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. It'll be a close game. I mean, I think I'm just going to say it'll be a close game no matter what. I think it will be a close game. I don't think this is a
line's
blowout.
Still 7.5.
Yeah, that's about right. That's about right.
To that point, though, I mean, like, we already knew it was going to be a huge game for numerous reasons, but especially after today, like, you can feel what that game could be. You see the national attention starting to peek over and be like, oh, what's going on in Nebraska right now? If they, on a nationally televised stage in prime time, can find a way to beat that Colorado team, beat Dion, and do so maybe even relatively convincingly. I mean, just imagine where the hype is going to go from there.
I'm imagining it. It's
going to be a long time.
Just think how good this feels today to Nebraska fans. Like Sean said, the guys under zip yards or whatever those are. What are those things? What are you talking about? Rickshaws.
Rickshaws. Keep drinking Zipline.
They're going to be jumping off ramps if they beat. They're going to be Evil Knievel out there if they beat Colorado, and it looked good doing it.
Think how many scouts are going to be here?
Well, there was 31 scouts at the North Dakota State game.
Thursday night games, those generally get a lot of scouts.
Think about 31 scouts.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that 31 scouts in Boulder for that game the other night.
There'll be a lot
watching
of scouts
Shedeur
here.
Mostly, and Travis Hunter.
I mean, even just to get an early look at Dylan.
Look at Ty Robinson. I think, Rob, you got him in the second day now, right? The NFL draft. So. You got him in the second day? Ty Robinson?
Right now. Based off the way he ended and the way he started this year, he's on that track.
He looked like a monster at times today.
I mean, he's a game wrecker.
Yeah. He looked like a monster. And you know what I like about him? He plays with a lot of fervor. I mean, he clearly enjoys football. And yeah, he's got the right mentality. he did wreck El Paso. I mean, he wrecked the game on that
That's
on the safety. Yeah, he and Bayer, big play. That was a huge play.
All right,
They got in there.
Husker Central. How about converting the 2nd and 30 last year? That would have killed us. That would have killed Nebraska 90% of the time most years.
Yeah. Big pass play to Nayor helped it, right?
When you have an NFL arm and the receivers are 6'4".
Thank you, Sean, for saying that.
The itty bitty committee.
Yeah, what's it look like now? I mean, it looks a lot better. I mean, they look good. That's a good bunch. And again, I emphasize, you didn't even see much of Jalen Lloyd. He can play.
I think he only got targeted once.
Yeah, you didn't see much of Ja'Cory Barney, except for you saw enough of him. But wait, I mean, if there's too much attention given to Nayor and Banks, those other guys will.
What about Jalen Lloyd?
Yeah, I said Jalen Lloyd. Jalen Lloyd and Barney can fly, and they're ballers.
And Jalen Lloyd wasn't even let out of the garage today. I mean, they kind of kept his sports car covered up today. They didn't really show him much.
Yeah, and like we kind of touched on Fedoni. You still got Bonner. Dylan has players to throw to. I mean, I think he feels pretty good. I think Dylan feels pretty good.
Guys will be opening it.
There'll be guys.
I mean, Colorado's defense is going to allow you to have guys get open.
Oh yeah. That's why. Yeah, we got to. I think going forward, and again, this could be a column. Everybody talks so much about Colorado's skill. Colorado's got to worry about Nebraska's skill now. I mean, they have a lot. Nebraska has a lot of skill all of a sudden. Like all of a sudden, we're like, wow. Look at those two big receivers. Wow. Look at number 29, just getting involved late in the game. That's something that kind of.
When you have a 17-minute advantage in time of possession, add that to it.
Yeah.
All right. Nick Guthrie, $100 super chat.
Hello.
Nick. Great game today. I came from Wichita, Kansas to watch it, and Sip and I have both been to Wichita many times. A great town.
Yes.
Don't eat the Mexican food though, right, Sip?
It's still a great town.
Still a great town.
Yeah.
He'll eat it again.
No, it doesn't affect my impression.
We'll go back to the same place next year.
Yeah, I probably will.
I went to the steakhouse in Wichita.
Yeah, see, Sean does it a little bit better than I do.
Emerson Bigger,
probably $100 plate, right?
It was.
Yeah, well, mine was 18. So,
when in Rome, Robin would have been there with me.
Just made that plate off Nick's.
Okay, great game today from Wichita. Go ahead.
Hope
Sean.
we don't get too high and stay humble.
Yeah.
Before the Colorado game.
Agreed.
Please consider this payback for a year plus of enjoying your content. Thank you for everything y'all do.
Thank you,
Nick. Thank you.
I don't think the head coach will let them get too high.
Yeah.
I go back. Some of my final comments will be with comments I said at the outset. What I wrote. It was very striking to me. Rules restraint in praising number 15. That was the way to do it. He's going to get pats on the back all week from everybody else. The head coach said there was good and bad. And he didn't go overboard at all. He didn't even approach overboard of praise for Dylan. Don't go overboard. This was one game against a team you should beat.
You know who else had restraint? Every single player that took the podium.
Is that right?
Dylan did. Jamal Banks did. Isaiah Nayor did. Marquise Buford did. Ramir Johnson did. Like all of them were asked about like how great was this? And like, it was one game. We did what we were supposed to do type thing. And they all know that they weren't perfect. They have plenty of room to grow. And I think that the fact that rule sets that tone where that makes me not as worried about riding the wave of the highs and lows of emotion after every win and after every loss. I think this team is even keeled, and that approach is going to put them in a much better situation going into this Colorado game than maybe they would be a year ago.
Guys, 19 seniors on this team, and they all play. I mean, it's an interesting team because they have 81 freshmen and redshirt freshmen. That's a lot. There's youth, but those 19 seniors, if you look, I think, Sean, if you looked down the list, every one of them plays some part. And those guys are mature guys. I don't have to name them all off. Those guys are smart, mature.
This team
guys.
is young, but they're old.
Yeah.
In the right areas.
Yeah.
All right, Nick Erkey, and I know Nick. Hey, Sean, it's Nick in Denver. Do we have a QB or what? And the wide receivers to go with it. Tell Lisa happy birthday. So my wife's birthday is today.
Happy birthday, Lisa.
Lisa, you put up with a lot. God bless you.
She's home with the girls.
God, I can't imagine what you deal with.
They did go to the game.
Good God.
And they sat on the east side. And let me tell you, the move to the west today was a perfect example of why you moved to the west sideline.
Oh,
How about that?
100.
Lisa said on that balcony on the east, they sat on the original balcony that's been converted. They sat there and it was like sitting on a grill. I mean, just the way the sun comes down, there was no wind. So for UTEP, they were in that the whole game.
I was talking to a ref, walking after the press conference. The refs, I just happened to hit the refs as they were leaving their locker room. And they said, why did Nebraska wait this long to move sidelines?
Steve, it was tradition.
Yeah, yes. I don't know. I mean, I'm not casting aspersions anywhere, but it's informative that Nebraska didn't have to stand in that sun all afternoon.
Well, there was no breeze today, none.
Right. Yeah.
And it was weird. It was 52 degrees when I woke up this morning. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
I saw the Lincoln Police Department, like at halftime, put out a tweet, like encouraging fans to stay hydrated because they had over 50 like calls in the stadium for heat-related issues.
Yeah, I think people maybe like going to what Sean said, maybe snuck up on him a little bit today.
Well, it tricked you. I mean, yeah, 80 because we had hundreds last week.
Right.
And you're like, 80's not bad, but it was a hard 80. There was no cloud cover, no wind.
Yeah.
It was it was a full sun on that stadium. And Nebraska got shaded for probably 3/4 of the game.
See?
Yeah.
Big
difference. All right. Caleb, as we try to wrap up the super chats here, the one thing I saw that I wasn't too impressed with was the blocking on the edges when they did the tight end flat routes.
Interesting. That's the thing. That's the kind of thing I'll have to watch on the second go round.
Thank you, Milt.
Yeah, I didn't notice that, but you did notice that those plays didn't. Yeah, you're welcome. Though you did notice that those plays didn't do much.
No, they didn't do anything.
Yeah, that's. Now Malachi was a really good blocker on the edge, and he didn't play.
And maybe he's still nicked up.
Yeah. I thought though, like guys like Banks and Naor would be really good. And maybe they are. I don't know. Who was that? Whoever that was. Good point, but I didn't notice it. I'd have to look at it.
All right, let's go to Dennis McFadden. This is mixed safety.
Hey, mixed safety. I know mixed safety. Hello, Dennis.
We have to beat Colorado. I was there for 5 years as a diehard Husker, and we have to win. It's a pride thing.
Yes,
I will say they do not like us in Colorado. I was in Denver over the July when Evan Cooper that week. My car got keyed.
Yeah. Oh no, wait a second. Oh, okay.
I was and look.
When the Evan Cooper thing went down on July 4th.
Yeah, I was in a mall.
July 5th,
I was in a mall parking lot, or at my hotel, either one of the two, with Nebraska plates. Car got keyed. I mean, it could have just been some punk kid.
No,
but I like to think that they're.
Oh, this just in: Colorado fans hate Nebraska. No, we've been dealing with that for a long time. Yeah, Sean, how reciprocal is it? That's what I would ask you guys.
I'd say over the last 6-7 years or so, going back to 2018, I think it's kicked back up in a big way.
You know what we're dealing with? You know what we're dealing with this week that's fun that we don't deal with in the Big Ten? A blood rivalry. Oh God, I can't wait. Oh God,
when you get the combination of kind of the hardened, like blue collar Colorado fan, and then like the young punky frat type Colorado fan.
Sean doesn't like that young punky frat fan.
Well, the combination
the
of
dude
like
the Dion sunglasses that just scream in your face when you're trying to walk to your seat.
No respect for anybody.
But it's a weird combination. I mean, you get these hardcore blue collar kind of old school CU fans, and then these rich punk kids that yell the F word in your face.
Right. No respect.
They do though.
It's
bad.
Oh, it's
last time we were out there.
I just want to clean up this conversation a little bit. It's a blood rivalry. It feels so good when they play. Yeah. And that stadium will be ridiculous. Today, Rule had to put on a headset with two things on it because he said the one with one, he said it was too loud. He had to put two on. Just wait till Saturday, coach. I mean,
and they were on.
He knows that place is going to be up for grabs.
And now they're away from the students, and Nebraska's opponents are on the student side.
Yeah. Oh, good luck, Colorado. That home field's going to be worth a lot.
Remember in 14 when the Miami game, they had the banner, welcome to your worst nightmare.
Yep. That's what they're looking at.
Hopefully it's a similar vibe.
Will we see a light show or anything special? I'm curious if
I would imagine.
I think Dylan's the light show. That's what I think the light show is.
Because you got to be careful. Like fourth quarter, what if you're down or something? You don't want to like screw around with a light show.
Right. Oh, I think that while we're getting into it, I think the home field's going to be worth a lot.
It's huge.
Yeah. It's not always worth a lot here.
It will be.
Yeah, but I think it will be Saturday night.
All right. We got 3 more I want to get in. Last
We're
year,
going till midnight.
against
keep
CU,
rolling.
and you had 4 fumbles and 1 interception, 1 missed field goal. 4 fumbles, 1 INT, 1 missed field goal. CU had 1 fumble and no missed field goals.
Jeez.
How will our kicking game do? Look, they were fine. I like that they're at home. Starting last year on the road, back-to-back at Minnesota, at Colorado. That was tough for a kicker, a freshman kicker.
No doubt. No doubt. Those environments were crazy, both of them, especially Colorado, but Minnesota was tough too. I agree with you, Sean.
Yeah, and we didn't see much from the kicking game. Alvano made all 5 his PATs, made a 20-yard field goal, like very little pressure. So, I mean, like, at least there wasn't any like glaring problems with that. John Hull did kick his first kickoff out of bounds.
Disappointing.
He settled in after that, but like they got to clean that sort of stuff up. But I'll even carry it over to the punting game. You know, Brian Buschini only punted it twice, but he averaged at 48.5 a punt, put 1 inside the 20 and hit another 53 yards.
Probably
I'll take
outkicked his
that.
coverage on the 52-yarder. That was the only thing about
The hang
that
time might have been down a little.
Yeah. But no, good. It was good.
But the starting position, field position, I think UTEP was at the 25, Nebraska was at the 36. If you have that type of advantage, that's going to be a huge deal.
Okay, Ross, I was surprised to see no huddle all day. Is that because of the new communication? Look, Nebraska, I don't think they really wanted to be a no huddle team. They ran 83 plays. They held the ball for 38-32. Complete domination. The play count, they had a 33 play count advantage. And they had a 17-minute time of possession advantage.
Kind of surprised. I'm kind of with Ross, so I'm a little surprised by that.
I don't think they needed to go tempo with what they were trying to do.
Yeah. I mean,
Rob?
is he saying no huddle or the fact that they I'm confused by the question. But anyway, like I thought that they
Why
did a
didn't
little
they
bit of both.
huddle? I guess. Or
Why didn't they huddle?
Maybe that's because I guess
Because they did huddle last year.
yes. Yeah. And I think that has a lot to do with it. And the fact that you have a quarterback that can make the right checks at the line. I mean, you
I'd
don't,
have to look at that.
like you go in and the court and Satterfield's probably giving him 3 plays to look for. You know, what do you think is going to be the best play? He makes a check. Off you go.
And Glenn Thomas, I mean, he's done a great job. When you look at these quarterbacks and just how they've all improved,
Yeah.
like that gets lost in kind of the discussion. But what he's brought, just the kind of the calm, stable voice to let Satterfield kind of do his thing.
Oh, yeah. Those guys, me and Rob were talking. Glenn Thomas and John Butler, to me, are interesting studies. They're both veteran NFL guys. They're very no nonsense. Rob, I was thinking about it after we were talking about those two guys. I think some of that is just a result of the NFL is very cutthroat. I think it's just all about winning, and all the other crap, like maybe trying to advance yourself by being cute at a podium and doing different things. I think that all kind of gets thrown out the window. We better just get our guys ready to win.
Mm-hmm.
And the way those guys comport themselves is very interesting to me. They are no bullshit. I mean, they're just no BS guys.
I guess after 9 o'clock, you can start.
Yeah,
cussing.
we can start cussing. Hell with it.
Kids are in bed. We're
Yeah, those guys, if you notice, they're just very, they're
Just
just
start
locked.
using the F word.
I didn't use the F word.
hey,
I'm going to.
hey, if Nick Saban can do it, you can do it.
Yeah, they're just locked in guys. But very low key. You notice they always have their hat pulled down, and
I saw Glenn. I was walking out, and he was just busy. I mean, Glenn Thomas could have walked out of that stadium, and not one person would have known it's
Nope.
Glenn Thomas.
No,
And
no
that's
way.
that's how Glenn Thomas probably wants it.
I know John Butler's a little like
Yeah.
that too. Every day, John Butler walks by my radio station out on O Street, 11th and O. Every single day is doing his walks right by, kind of looks in, halfway interested. But he's just a guy. Those guys are both very nondescript. You know, it's not like when Bo used to run down O Street and people would yell and chant black shirt stuff. And I bet you John Butler doesn't get recognized at all.
What I like too is I think look at both those guys' rooms, and I think that's the personality that both of those rooms want. Like with that secondary, you got a bunch of veteran guys. They don't want somebody that's going to come in and be some, rah hoot and holler guy. They want somebody that knows ball, that has coached at the highest level, that has succeeded at the highest level, that is going to advance them in their individual careers and advance them as a unit as a whole. And I think both those guys do that.
All right, final question here from Logan. Do you think the coaching staff wanted to keep the game somewhat vanilla scheme-wise, really to make it hard for Colorado to prepare for next week? I mean, they did. I don't want to say they kept it vanilla because I felt like they did a lot of stuff, but they wanted to establish physical downhill running, a style of execution on offense, and they did that. 83 plays.
Got Heinrich behind the center at quarterback. That gives Colorado something to think about.
Mhm.
And I don't mean after Dylan went out. I mean, while
They were
Dylan
on the
was,
field
UTEP was
together.
ready for it, though.
Yeah.
were they ready for that?
Well, they didn't get much out
No,
of it.
it was like a no gain, I think.
But anyway, well, Nebraska did enough. I mean, I didn't look like they were holding.
It
too
would have
much
been
back.
nice to
Right.
get that last, the 47-7 one they missed, to get one more score.
Yeah.
I mean,
They should have.
and they teed it up for those guys to
Yeah.
score.
Yeah, they should have.
They were
gotten
inside the 5.
one. Right. Should have gotten one more.
But guys, post-game show number 1 in the books. Many more to come.
Well, 11 for sure.
I'll tell you why I like being at home,
Do you?
because it's hard to travel on the road, especially if we get 4 in a row to kind of get our sea legs.
Do you need to get your sea legs?
Well, we're not trying to cram into a press box
right.
and you call me and like, where the hell are you?
Always
I-
taking shots.
And
at
I'm
the
like,
old
I'm
man.
upstairs in the booth.
Yeah.
And it,
It's
this
high
is,
stress. It's high stress.
but the numbers speak for themselves. And again, we pushed nearly 2,000 live viewers for the entire show. So we know that this is our best way to engage with you, Husker fans, after games. And the media business has changed.
Mhm.
Like, this is a key piece of content for us to get to you. And that's why we do these shows.
Yeah, this is
doubt.
fun. This was fun. And there was a lot to talk about. There'll be a lot to talk about this week. Huge game. Huge early season game. And Nebraska set the table for it very well today.
Yes, they
All right, check it out. All the coverage on HuskerOnline.com. We still have a promotional special you can sign up for as well. I believe that's still live today. So take advantage of that. And again, thank you to Zipline, the official post-game sponsor, beverage sponsor of HuskerOnline Post-Game Live. Rob and I both drinking the dear old Nebraska brew. For Steve Sipple, Robin Waschett, I'm Sean Callahan, signing off for Husker Online Post-Game Live.